Good morning, and welcome to 30-minute reviews on this very snowy Wednesday. It is a very, very snowy Wednesday. I'm Adam, and we are going to talk about Disney and Disney's response to the Don't Say Gay bill. That's right, we're gonna get political today. If you don't want to hear it, I understand completely. But my take is probably going to be different from a lot of other people, and I think that it might be worth listening to if it's something that, you don't know anything about. Now, for those of you who don't know, the state of Florida has introduced this new law that they're trying to pass that will make it illegal for schools to teach about, if I read it correctly, I didn't read the bill, I read an article about it, make it illegal for students to, in schools, to discuss sexuality, make it illegal for school libraries and public libraries to have books about sexuality, and make it illegal for, schools to, if a student were to come out to a teacher or express feelings of confusion about his or her sexuality to a teacher, the teacher would then be mandated to tell it to a parent, and it'd be included in mandated reporter laws. Now, the law is disgusting, the law is abhorrent, and the fact that they're doing this and then painting it as an anti-pedophilia thing is even more disgusting, and not, I don't want to say misguided, because misguided makes it sound like they're trying to do the right thing for the wrong reason, but we're going about it the wrong way. It's a disgusting law that they're trying to pass, and their rationale and all of that the public rationale is just disgusting. So this law is attempting to be passed in Florida, and Disney has a substantial park stake in Florida. They have Walt Disney World. So Bob Chapek, who's the current CEO of Disney ever since Bob Iger stepped down, looked at, was looking at this whole thing and said something like, we stand with the LGBT community within our employee ranks, but did not say anything about the law itself. Now, I don't know if he was asked directly about the law itself and then he dodged it, which is what I would assume based on the way the article was written. And it wasn't just like he didn't offer up an unsolicited idea about a random law. Which, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, not everyone needs to comment 100, like, if he's at a shareholder call, he doesn't have to be there like, hey, so this law they're trying to pass is bullshit. I mean, he could just be, he could just not comment it, but if he was asked directly about it and he sidestepped it, that's a bigger issue. And the thing is, people who are seeing this and saying it's, oh my god, how could he not get rid of the law? How could he not say anything bad about the law? Here's my thing, okay? Corporations are not your friend. If there's one mantra for this show, that's it. Corporations are not your friend. Regardless of who, that was a fucking ballsy maneuver right there. Regardless of who the corporation is, who works for the corporation, if you work for the corporation is not your friend. The corporation is there for one reason, and one reason only. And the corporation exists to make money for the shareholders. If you are a large shareholder, not someone who owns one stock in Disney, I mean, if you are one shareholder, they're not your friend. If you are someone who has a ton of stock in Disney to the point where you're getting invited to investor calls as an investor, not as a member of the press, then they're your friend. They are there to serve your bidding. they are not there to serve the bidding of the average consumer. The relationship between a consumer and a corporation is strictly, they have a product or a service that I want, I will pay money for said product or service, and then I will move on from there. Now, when it comes to injecting politics and all of that, and this shouldn't be a political issue, and I'm comfortable enough saying that, had it been me, I don't know if I would have done something different, even though me personally, I don't agree with the law. But number one, he's up there and he's standing up there as the representative of the Walt Disney Company. And it's one thing to say we stand with our LGBT community. It's one thing to say that we listen to, we're standing with them and we're going to, support them in any way we can. That's one thing. It is another thing entirely to sit there and be like, and this specific law that Disney, that the state of Florida is trying to pass is not good. And here's the problem with it. It's, number one, I'm assuming that Disney gets considerable tax incentives to have the park in Florida. And typically, if someone's giving you a good deal, it's not a good idea to fuck with them. That's just, general common sense. Like, if I have a deal with, the Coke vendor, not the Coke dealer, the Coke vendor who brings Coca-Cola, it does not behoove me to be like, we're going to, Coke sucks and all of that, because then I'll be like, alright, fine, fuck you. We won't give you all this cool stuff. And Disney parks, it's not like a Disney production where they can just be like, fine, we'll go somewhere else. A Disney park is kind of, stuck in the ground. And it's one of those things where, we can't just move the park. So we gotta kind of play nice with the state of Florida, number one. Number two, Disney, while creating the appearance of being a progressive company, Disney still wants the money that comes from conservative families. Whether or not you voted for Trump, or you voted for Biden, or if you voted for Hillary, or voted for Trump, or if you voted for, Obama, or for Romney, your money will spend just as well at a Disney park, or at your local AMC going to see a movie, and your credit card will work just as well if you go and put it into Disney Plus or Hulu. Your money will spend regardless of your political beliefs. So while right-wing news sources and right-wing organizations have kind of taken Disney and turned it into this kind of boogeyman of they're the bad guys, they're here, they're un-American, they're here to destroy our kids and indoctrinate them into socialist ideology and this, that, and the other thing. While they're doing all that, Fox is still accepting millions of dollars from Disney, who is paying millions of dollars to advertise on the network. And, if they genuinely believed that, and that's the thing, it's that everyone's disingenuous in this whole situation, because it's like, the right is disingenuous, because if they genuinely believed that Disney was such a threat to American democracy, and that, Star Wars and all of that, and what Marvel was doing, was such a threat to American democracy, that they had to cut the, they had to cut the, it's worth bringing up as often as they do. Odds are you wouldn't accept money from them to advertise on the network. And conversely, if I'm Disney, and someone is just shitting on me constantly, I wouldn't advertise there. But the thing is, the money still spends. And you can sit there and be like, Disney doesn't spend, Disney doesn't have, the conservative, money will spend just as well as the liberal money. So, the idea that he was going to come out and make this grand statement about how the Don't Say Gay bill is disgusting and abhorrent and awful and, everything that it is, you're deluding yourself. It's kind of what happens when people see that, like, oh, they're changing the logos are rainbow for gay pride, and oh, they put a white text on all black picture and support Black Lives Matter. They see you and they see your cause as a commodity that can be monetized. That's what that is. It's them looking at what's happening and saying, we can exploit this for our own gain. If we come out and say we support it, we can get more money. And the number of people who say that, oh, well, we're never going to do that again, is so low, or they don't believe that those people have the income necessary to go to a Disney park anyway. Where it's like, well, forget it. Or like if it's mostly older people, like I think that's the calculus that Disney is doing, where it's like mostly older people are the ones who are coming out and saying we will never do anything with Disney again. And it's like, all right, fine. It's primarily targeted at families. So if an older person decides, well, I'm never going to go and read and go to a Disney movie ever again, it's like, all right, well, what were the odds you're going to go see Encanto anyway? Like, probably low. What are the odds you're going to get Disney Plus to watch, something new on it? Probably low. Like, I think that's the calculus that they're doing, and they're being like, well, that's that. And what happened is, we're looking at a situation where the calculus was, if we were to put, if we come out and we make this grand statement, number one, it puts us on the front of a war that we don't want to fight. We don't want to be in the culture wars. If we can avoid that for as long as possible, let's do that. Because it's not bad press, but it's also not good press. And it is something that is, it's not 100% beneficial, but it's also not the worst thing. Whereas, to throw yourself in there and make an overtly political statement along a party line, that's a problem for a corporation. And a corporation wouldn't do that. It's the same thing where it's like when I'm driving around and I see someone, operating a utility truck, like a plumber or something who is, who's driving around from place to place, and they have stickers on their car for a political candidate, I'm like, you're really stupid. I don't care who the political candidate is. You can sit there, you can have a Trump flag flying off the back of your car, you can have a Biden sticker, you can have a Harris sticker, you can have a Warren sticker, a Bernie sticker. I don't care who your political candidate is. If you are a small business, don't put a fucking sticker on your car. Your work car, at least. Your personal car, do whatever the fuck you want. But your work car, just be apolitical. Why can't people just be apolitical when they're at work? And the thing is, it's like, to say that Disney had to come out and say anything at all is kind of, it's one of those things where it's like, anyone who expected differently is deluding themselves into thinking that the corporation is there to benefit them personally, and it's not. Like, look, if it is something where you genuinely believe that, if you believe that Disney shouldn't, that Disney as a corporation should have weighed in on this law and said, hey, this law is wrong, then don't buy Disney stuff anymore. Don't go to Disney parks. Don't watch Disney movies. Cancel your Disney Plus subscription. Those are all things that are going to make an impact. And when they ask why you're canceling, go to, what's it called? Go on to, like, they always ask why you're canceling when you're canceling something. Say, because of this. Because you were asked a direct question about a piece of legislation that is A, disgusting, B, it should be common sense, and C, quite honestly, you can't say you stand with the LGBT community and also not have a comment on this law. Like, that's the thing that is a little disingenuous about this. It's like, oh, we stand with the LGBT community. But having the opinion that they have on the law, on Don't Say Gay, and saying that you stand with the LGBT community are two diametrically opposed statements. They're not, you can't do both. You can't have it both ways. It is one or the other. So, say that when you cancel your Disney Plus subscription. Say that when you don't shop anymore. That's what you gotta do. And you have to say, look, we are not going to, we are not going to work with, Disney, and that's it. And if enough people do that to the point where it's fuck, well, we're losing this aspect of it, but, that's going to be the ultimate question, is that going to make an impact on them? I mean, I think that what happened was the result of focus groups and, marketing people and, legions and legions of people behind the scenes who are okay, well, you will be asked about this. Here is the company line of what is acceptable to say about this that will not make us lose too much money. To say that, I mean, look, from the aspect of the company, they're doing the right, that was the right response. As a human looking at it, it's not the right response. And look, they can come out and say, I personally believe, ideally their response would have been, a little, honesty would have been nice. I know it's asking a lot in this day and age, but, if Chapek was asked that and he said, look, personally, it's abhorrent. It's disgusting. This law is a step backwards, and it is purely designed for political theater. That's my personal belief. As the CEO of Disney and making a statement for the Walt Disney Company, I cannot say one way or the other. It is not my place to comment, because we want your money on either side of this. Because that's the thing, it's if Disney came out and said, hey, this law is awful, that would have put them on the, all of a sudden, it would have been the fucking nightly pundits from Fox would have been hey, look at this. And there's a war in the Ukraine going on, but we're going to talk about Disney instead. We're going to talk about how Disney, is electing to do this, and we're going to let them indoctrinate our kids. Well, that's fitting. We're going, this law, the spokesman said the law is against pedophilia. I mean, and we didn't, we didn't just make that up to make the law sound better. Well, you did, but, that's and by the way, that's literally a statement from the Florida, the spokesman from the Florida's governor, was well, if you're against this bill, then you're for grooming children, and, I don't make the rules, that's just how it is. I'm no, you made that rule, though. You very clearly made that rule. So, yeah, I don't think that, I don't know, it's kind of this bizarre thing where I don't think that there was a response. That's a situation that Disney does not want to be in as a company, because they don't want to have to answer that question. That law being, passed, I think it's passed now, is something that was not good for them, not because it impacts them in any specific way, but because it does this thing where now they have to avoid, what's it called? They have to avoid they have to avoid commenting on it, and it's just going to, it's just going to harm their relationships with one side or the other. There was no answer they could give that would get 100% of the people happy. This was the closest response to that, because that's the point of a corporation. Keep as close to 100% of the people happy as close to 100% of the time. And short of that, don't do, don't do anything that will stray from that. Like, you want as close to 100% approval rating all the time. And this was the best answer I could give that would give that. And maybe I come off as aggressively centrist. I'm not trying to. Like, I'm just trying to explain that the corporation is not your friend. Disney is not your friend. Disney is not here to, 100% align with your political beliefs. Disney is here to make money. And if you do not like the decisions that Disney is making, just don't cover Disney stuff. Don't talk about Disney stuff. Don't watch Disney stuff. Now, we're going to continue to cover Disney stuff because we make money off their backs. We're kind of like a leech in that way, where, they come out with something and then we review it and we get ad revenue from it. So, we profit from their releases, and I'm going to be upfront about that. We make money from when Disney releases stuff because people listen to reviews of Disney stuff. Like, the months where there isn't a Star Wars or a Marvel show, we get less listens because Marvel and Star Wars get listens. So therein lies, the conundrum for us. But because we are profiting from it, I feel less bad about doing it, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So we'll wrap up there for today. We will be back later tonight. Hopefully nothing major happens between now and then. If it does, that would suck. But until then, have a great rest of your week.